All right, this is Pipeline Audio, and we are back with more guitar videos, guitar myth videos to watch, I guess. These list things, they always end up seeming to be on these silly hype channels and stuff. I don't know about these channels, but I see 3 secrets to mixing. Just subscribe to my blah, blah, blah. Pay me $5 billion, and I'll give you the 3 secrets to better metal mixes. But you know what? You guys keep sending me these videos, and I'll keep doing these responses or whatever they are. So remember the caveat. I am not an expert guitar player. I can play guitar. I can do minor guitar repairs. I am really good at soldering and electronics, but just take this with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert guitar player by any means. I approach these things from a recording studio perspective. So, let's see what we got here. This is from Daryl Braun Guitars. 15 guitar myths that make us all look crazy. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. So, let's see what we got here.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an excellent day today. For this week's video, we're going to tackle 15 of my personal favorite guitar myths that make us all look a little crazy. Let's get started.
I love it. This is let's get started, and then they're going to play some kind of intro thingy. No, let's get started. Get started. Get off my lawn.
All right, for myth number 1, we're going to jump straight into the deep end of the crazy pool. Nitro finishes sound better than poly. Nitro, poly. Nitro, poly. Nitro, poly. Nitro,
this guy.
Poly. Now, I've been fortunate enough to play on all sorts of different guitar finishes over many, many years, and I can tell you this with certainty. Pickups are 90% of the guitar's tone. The other 10% is split between 100 different factors, of which nitro versus poly should be 0. You shouldn't even talk about it. Obsessing over it makes you look crazy. Now, one other thing I'll quickly mention is that I picked up this Epiphone Les Paul used for $350, put in a set of P-rails, which gives you single coils, P90s, humbucker series parallel, all those sounds, and I compared it up against my highest end guitars in a blind test. Now, this guitar is encased in a massively thick coating of poly, but it's one of my favorite guitars and kicks butt on so many of my other instruments. So if you think you can tell the difference between this and a bunch of my high-end guitars in a blind test, follow the link above.
Even though this is one of them beard and mustache guys, this is actually pretty cool. So, not to sound like a stuck record, but, you know, I hate the idea that you guys spend all this money. Yeah, we go over this. We just went over this on the last couple of videos. You don't, when it comes to guitars, you don't get what you paid for. You got to pay a certain amount to get something really good. And after that, it's just it's mostly aesthetics or it's mostly features, but you're not going to get something significantly better is a weird term. You're going to go sideways after a little while. And yeah, like he's saying, this is a $350 guitar, and I bet it sounds just like the other $5 billion Les Paul looking things. and he's asking for, I think it's talking about an ABX test, so good on you, man.
Try your luck.
Okay.
Now, myth number 2 is that vintage pickups sound much better than modern pickups.
Oh, man. See, again, stuck record. Why is just because something is old does it sound better? That's like this dinosaur argument from antiquity fallacy. As far as I know, they didn't make EMGs back in the 50s, so I like EMGs. I'm sorry that I do, but I do. I like some of these modern DiMarzios. I'm sorry that I do, but I do. So I don't care. This is just an argument from antiquity, and this is just silly.
We all sort of attach this mystique or this mojo to 50s and 60s pickups.
I don't.
And instead of the Lady of the Lake emerging with Excalibur for King Arthur, we imagine her coming up with Hendrix's Strat or a set of PAF pickups from the 50s, right? And when those vintage pickups go for like $500 to $1,200, you better be sure they sound better than a set of Seymour Duncans, right? And The truth of the matter is there was just vast inconsistencies back in the day. Some of them sounded great, some of them sounded like crap. Yeah. Someone would be winding a pickup and go out for a smoke break, come back, finish the pickup and be like, yeah, that looks good. You know, it might have been overwound, underwound, whatever. Someone would go on a bathroom break, come back, let's package these up. Looks good to me, right? Just very inconsistent is going to sound any better than a modern set of pickups. All right, favorite myth number 3 is that heavy gauge strings give you super thick tone. And certainly it makes your guitar feel different, right? You have to dig in, you kind of got to fight that.
So I did a couple videos on these where it's directly comparing different size strings with the same pickups on the same guitar, same tuning, tried to play exactly the same chords and stuff. And, you know, you might be surprised at the differences. But yeah, you're not going to just magically make a super thick sound with thick strings.
That instrument, but you can just like lay into it, which gives it a different feel, but does it give it a different sound? I don't think so. So here's a list of some of our favorite guitar players playing light gauge strings, 9s or 8s. Here we go. Hendrix 9, Chuck Berry 8, Jimmy Page 8, Van Halen 9, James Hetfield 9, Billy Gibbons 8, B.B. King 8. Dude had monstrous tone, right? Knopfler, Gary Moore, Angus Young, Randy Rhoads, Steve Vai, Satriani, all on 9s, right? Some of those guys have some of the most epic, you know, huge, expansive guitar tones available on super thin gauge strings. Don't worry about the gauge. Play what feels right. Now, if you guys would like to see me do a real world string gauge test, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to do that.
Those are cool.
Now, myth number 4 is one of my personal favorites, probably because I love thin line Tellys, even if they are a tad garish. But either way, it's hilarious to watch demos or listen to, you know, forums or people in music stores describe the difference between a thin line and a solid body. You'll hear words like airy or spacious or unique high end, and you know, they're looking for words to sell you a guitar. What the F-hole does is it makes the guitar lighter.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It doesn't matter what kind of guitar it's on. Chambering, F-holes or whatever, it makes the guitar lighter. That's what it does. Enjoy the weight savings.
I'm having problems, really having a problem with this guy's video here, aside from him being a beardo.
Yes, we have arrived at Maple versus Rosewood. Right. So the myth goes, this little slab of rosewood on top of your maple neck makes all the tonal difference in the world. So if you want a guitar that is warm, that is natural sounding, that notes kind of just have this subtlety and this really interesting warm vibe, go with the rosewood. If you want something snappy and bright with tons of attack, go with the maple. This is a huge decision for your guitar, and you must know which one you like the sound of best. Well, here we go. Let's do a blind test for you guys. Same guitar, same strings, no reverb, no compression, straight out of my amp, unprocessed, blind test. Here we go. So there you guys go. A great reminder just to pick fingerboard material based on what looks good with your body and feels good to play on, whether that's rosewood, maple, ebony, whatever. Don't go chasing tonewood. It's sort of a dead end, and it really doesn't matter in any practical setting. Now, as
man, this guy got balls of steel, huh? He's taking on the Tonewood myths. Yeah, you know, I got to be honest. Until just a very few years ago, I really still believed that a maple fretboard was a lot brighter than rosewood, and I hadn't really been exposed to the Tonewood stuff. And for all the crap I give to people about Tonewood, I still thought that there was something to it until I really looked into it. And yeah, maple versus rosewood, not even 10 years ago, I think I was trying to get a maple neck version of one of my guitars. But thankfully now I know better. And this is pretty cool. This guy's pretty ballsy to take this on.
As for the results, guitar number 1 was the Rosewood fingerboard, and guitar number 2 was the maple. And, if I had to sit down and analyze it over and over again, I think, the Rosewood was actually a touch bit snappier than the maple. And some of that's maybe down to my playing inconsistencies, but that's the way it is. Wood is unpredictable, and the amount that it affects the tone is minimal. Now, myth number 6 brings us right back into the deep end of the crazy pool. We're talking about certain famous guitar players who swear they can tell the difference in their pedals between a power supply or 9-volt batteries. Not only that, but different brands or types of 9-volt batteries.
Wasn't there some kind of thing? See, I get scared of this one because there was some kind of thing where Eric Johnson, I think it was Eric Johnson, he was saying he wanted a certain brand of battery, and it ended up that somebody was able to actually measure and tell that there was a difference. I don't know.
So we're talking about some next level stuff here.
But to me, if your device can't work properly with an adapter, you got a broken device. It's possible that you did some like voltage sag thing with the battery, and that makes it sound better in a way. I mean, it could make it sound different. We sag amplifiers, right? But yeah, I mean, this is all measurable. This doesn't have to be black magic.
So irrelevant that it makes zero difference to even talk about it. So this myth is just hilarious. Use a power supply if you can. It's better for the environment anyway than chewing up a bunch of 9 volts. Other than that, spend time practicing. Don't even worry about this one. This one's crazy. Warm vintage tone. Warm vintage tone. Warm vintage tone. Where have I heard that phrase before? Oh yes, on every single pickup manufacturer's website. Listen to music from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. Where's this warm vintage tone? It's bright, it's cutting, it's Gretsch, it's Telecaster, it's Stratocaster, it's surf, it's big band, it's early rock and roll, it's bebop.
It's noisy, it's distorted, it's band limited. Like, you guys are always talking about this vintage tone. Like, you really want to sound like... If I made your vocals sound like something from the 1950s, if I made your guitar sound like something from the 1950s, I'd be fired. I'd never work in this industry again. You guys are nuts.
Where's the warm vintage tone? Stop using that phrase to sell me pickups and use something accurate. Now, myth number 8 really doesn't have anything to do with us looking crazy or like the overly eccentric musicians that we are. It's more of just a general misconception. So here goes the myth. Compared to a Strat bridge, a Telly bridge has more treble, has more bite, is thinner, all those kind of things, and that's just not true. Compared to a Strat pickup, a Telly pickup has more low end, it has more overall frequencies, and honestly is a fuller sound. So a Strat bridge is built very different than a Telly bridge pickup. Totally different construction, but the Strat actually sounds thinner, a little bit more compressed, and has fewer overall frequencies. So common misconception. Let's take a listen to these guitars.
Wait, why is that? Is the Telly pickup further away from the... I always thought Telecasters were crazy bright. I always thought that my whole life. And, I always just figured, it's down to the pickups they used. Or, I thought, that metal bridge is going to do it. I used to not be quite so sure about how pickups worked. But hopefully they'll tell us why this is. I think maybe the Telly pickup is closer to the neck. Why are we saying bridge? There's all these claims about like tone in bridges. Like if you buy these giant brass blocks for your Floyd Rose, it's going to sound way, way, way better. I don't know that that's true. I mean, maybe it adds more sustain. That's what they're saying too. But I don't really know why the bridge should affect the sound so much.
So now you know if you need a big, powerful, full-sounding single coil tone, grab a Telecaster bridge. You'll love the tone.
Why is it the bridge? Hey, dude. I don't think that's the bridge. I think that's the pickup. I think either the way the pickup is made, how many windings or whatever, and or where it is on the guitar. Is it in the same place on the guitar? Let's just really quick pull up a so hopefully I can get some pictures. Strat versus Telly here. Okay, so this one is a big one. Oh man, I'm gonna get all spammed out by Fender. Thanks, Fender. Okay, here we go. So the Telly bridge looks like it's a little bit further away from the Telly pickup looks like it's a little bit further away from the saddles. Maybe not though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it should be the bridge. Why should it be the bridge? Anyway, let's go on. Myth number 9 here.
Now, myth number 9 is an interesting one, sort of an unwritten rule of guitar, and it goes something like this. If you play a certain genre, you need to buy a certain type of guitar. And nowadays, that's just not true. We don't want to be pigeonholed like that anymore. But, if you go on a forum or something and they're like, oh, you like Satriani and Vi? Definitely, you need an Ibanez. Or you like AC/DC? Grab the SG. Doesn't matter if, you might hate playing on an Ibanez or an SG. They might be like the worst guitars for you. What you want to do is find a guitar that you like the look of, but most importantly, sounds good, versatile, has a great neck profile, you like the frets, everything about it you like. You're going to play better. You're going to play more often instead of being like, oh, I like metal, I have to get this guitar, and then you realize that everything about it is just wrong for you, right?
Well, technically, if there may be certain things like you might need, or it might be very helpful to have the right pickup configuration. You might need a tremolo. You might need a tremolo that's not dive only. You might need 24 frets. So, I mean, there is some specifics, but I don't think that's necessarily related to the brand.
Right? So we want to break free from those pigeonholes and pick the guitars that work best for you. If an SG works the best for you, play jazz on an SG. Play country on an SG. I don't care. Play bluegrass on an Ibanez if the Ibanez is the best fit for you. Nowadays, with amps and EQs, and I mean, last week I demoed that exchanger pedal that turns pickups into a totally different sound. Really interesting stuff. Guitars are so versatile now. Don't let yourself get pigeonholed. Pick one that you play the best on.
Man, that Ibanez is really pretty.
All right, enough ranting about that. Let's get back into the deep end of the crazy pool. Here we go. Small Strat headstock versus the big Strat headstock. People claiming it changes your tone. People claiming it adds sustain, it adds mass, all these different things. Sounding a little crazy. Here's the reason for it. First 20 odd years of the Strat had the smaller headstock. Then CBS bought out Fender, went to the bigger headstock size. What was the reason? Was there some sort of tonal deficiency of the small one? Were the engineers trying to find a better sounding guitar? No. It came down to marketing. Surprise, surprise. So they wanted a bigger headstock so that they could make a bigger Fender logo. They wanted more real estate on which to advertise. That's why the big Fender headstock exists.
Well, these guys are still going to say that you just don't realize that it magically makes it sound better. So, meh on you.
All right, we got a good boil going on here, you guys. I think you know this myth. Boiling your guitar strings brings back their tone. I swear, I'm not crazy. I'm just going to cook my strings. Yeah, I'm cooking my guitar strings. This is what's happening here. This is what my life has devolved into. There's just got to be a better way to save $7. But in the end, all those strings that you boiled still have the kinks in them from being wound around the post. When you put them back onto an instrument, that's going to be a really weak area because it's been kinked so many times. Just go buy a new set of strings. It's going to play better and sound better.
I think it was that Scott Groove. He was showing the old trick of pulling your strings. I've seen people do this in the studio so many times. Bass players, especially like country bass players, just yanking on their strings, pop, 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 and then all of a sudden they say they sound brighter. I can't be sure, but makes sense. If you got dirt in the windings or whatever, that would help a little bit.
Now, myth number 12 is true bypass versus buffered bypass. Now, in the past, buffered bypass was like a swear word. You did not want any of the pedals on your board. They were cheap, they were crappy. Everything had to be true bypass. The marketing machine was glorious, and they would upcharge you for, true bypass. If a pedal didn't have it, it was crap. Well, turns out that's not entirely true, because if you're running 20-foot cable into your pedal board and maybe 10 feet or even more of patch cables, 15 or 20 feet back out to your amp, well, you're getting close to 50 feet of cable, and you're going to notice the high-end drop on that. So what you actually needed was a buffer. Now, people would buy separate buffers, because they didn't want buffered bypass pedals for some reason. But anyway, totally different story. You need at least one buffered bypass pedal in your board to boost the signal so you don't lose all that high end either at the beginning or the end of your pedal board. Now, myth number 13 comes more from manufacturers and less from players, although some players might repeat this just because, again, it's the marketing machine going wild. These are noiseless pickups. These are Fender N4s, the latest generation from Fender. Hopefully, I'll have a demo of this up against a regular single coil soon, but so goes the marketing. These babies are going to sound just the same as your regular single coils. That is not true. That's not to say they don't sound great. I've played on lots of single coil noiseless pickups. I think they have their own voice and they sound great, but they do not sound like regular single coils. Don't buy into the myth.
Why is that? Are they not single coils? What makes the noiseless pickups noiseless? So those are Fender noiseless pickups. How do they work? Fender noiseless pickups on Wikipedia. Let's see. Oh, there's humbuckers. That's why. There's stacked single coils. What is what N3? Something crazy I've been finding lately. I always used to read, wanted 81s, EMG 81s so bad because they're ceramic and they're supposed to be so much brighter and louder than the 707s or whatever. And no, the 707 has a lot more high end, at least on the guitars that I have. They seem like the pickups are in the same place. Not only does the 707 have a lot more output, but it seems like it has a lot more high end.
If you don't have an American-made guitar, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. Well,
everybody knows you want the Korean-made guitars, which are going to be very hard to get now. Yeah, that sucks. We're going to have a hard time getting these Agiles and stuff. It looks like most of the Korean stuff is going to Indonesia. And not that, you generally can, a decent shop in a decent country is, there are things about it. Of course, there's always exceptions and stuff, but it really all comes down to QC anyway.
Don't waste your time with hot takes like that. It's absolute garbage. It's not true anymore. Don't let people look down on you because of where your guitar was made. A CNC machine has no idea if it's in Indonesia, Korea, China, or Cleveland. So what does matter is the fit and finish, and what does matter is quality control. And both of those metrics have been absolutely shooting through the roof. The Squier Classic Vibe series is like, the poster boy for Chinese guitars, right? Absolutely amazing guitars. And, anything in Indonesia in the $600 to $800 range easily rivals anything made in the States. It's just the way it is. So don't waste your time with garbage like that. Bust the myth. Grab a guitar that you like, that you want to play. Spend your time practicing rather than arguing. All right, let's end number 15 with a bang. This is our Tonewood Debate. So this is a garage sale guitar that I rescued. It was unplayable when I found it. So
he's cut up a guitar and like taken the wood pieces off the body and attached them by screws or something like that, just to show, like, you know, it still sounds like a guitar. Like we keep saying, it ain't, this Tonewood thing is nonsense. That's pretty cool. This is a really cool looking guitar.
I decided it's going to be the perfect candidate to do some experiments on. So we cut up the body and took audio clips along the way. If you missed that video, I will put a link to that above. But in the end, it's a neck with just sort of like that core strip of body. Sustain didn't change in a meaningful way. Tone did change surprisingly, but again, not in a meaningful way. This sounds like a perfectly beautiful guitar. You guys heard the highs, the lows, everything sounds great on it. And like I said, it's just a neck and a little bit of a stick. So all that to say, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about Tonewood. Grab your guitar, practice. That's going to be...
Aside from the beard, this dude's pretty cool. Okay, we need a name for our new reverb. Anybody out there, start sending in reverb names. We need a name for the new reverb. It should be coming out. Hopefully we'll get some betas out to you guys by this weekend. But we need a name. Okay. Let me go. So this is Philip McKnight. I don't know. I think I've seen some of this guy's videos before, but this is another Myths Guitar Players Believe Are True. Let's see how this one is.
Today, we're going to set the internet afire with myths that guitar players think are true. Obviously, a lot of people are going to have some strong opinions about these myths, whether they're for them or against them. But please understand, the information I'm presenting today is based on not only my experience, but a lot of fact-checking that I did with a lot of companies. And although I've gone to great extremes to make sure I fact-check this information as best I can, please understand that everybody's going to have a different opinion about this. Feel free to put the comments down below. This is an open discussion with. Myth number one, although you should never handle a hot tube, the myth is that guitar players believe that if you touch the tube with bare hands, the oils from your skin or dirt will get on the glass, and when you plug in the amp, it could cause the tube to crack or break or be damaged. That's
Ooh, I thought it made them overheat. Yeah, good thing I don't use tubes for anything anymore. Let me see, hold on, sorry, I gotta mute this for a